Am I the asshole for leaving my partner because she refused to put our marriage before her relatives? I 38M left my wife 37F last week. We were together for 8 years and married for 4, and I'm still trying to process how everything unraveled so quickly after so much time together. I never imagined I'd be questioning whether walking away from my marriage made me the villain, but here I am needing an outside perspective. From the very beginning of our relationship, I knew my wife was extremely close to her family. At first, I didn't see that as a problem at all. In fact, I admired it. She was loyal, supportive, and always there for them, which I thought reflected well on her character. I assumed that once we were married, that same loyalty would naturally extend to our partnership. That's where I was wrong. Over time, her family's presence in our lives became overwhelming. They would show up at our house unannounced, sometimes multiple times a week, and stay far longer than expected. They treated our home like a communal space rather than a shared marital home. Food I bought specifically for myself or for planned meals would disappear. Personal spaces were used without asking. Drawers were opened, things were moved, and boundaries were crossed as if they didn't exist. When I brought this up to my wife, she brushed it off every single time, telling me I was too sensitive and reminding me that family doesn't need permission. About a year ago, things escalated significantly. Several of her relatives were dealing with personal and financial issues and needed a place to stay. My wife agreed to take them in without talking to me first. I found out after the decision had already been made. I wasn't thrilled, but I understood that it was an emergency and that family helps family, so I went along with it under the assumption that this would be short term. A few weeks, maybe a month at most. That wasn't what happened. They stayed for months. They didn't contribute financially. They didn't help with utilities, groceries, or household responsibilities. They took over common areas, ignored basic courtesy, and continued acting like our home was an extension of their own. I felt like a guest in the house I was helping to pay for. The stress started affecting my sleep, my work, and my mental health. I tried repeatedly to talk to my wife about it. I approached her calmly. I tried having serious conversations. We argued. I even suggested couples counseling because I felt like we were completely disconnected. Every single time, the conversation ended the same way. She accused me of trying to make her choose between me and her family. That was never what I asked for. I didn't want her to cut anyone off or abandon them. I just wanted to be included in decisions that affected our marriage and our home. I wanted our relationship to come first, or at least not come last. The breaking point came when I got home from work one evening and found one of her relatives asleep on our couch. No warning, no text, no conversation, just another person living in our space without my knowledge or consent. Standing there in my own living room, exhausted and angry, something finally clicked. I realized this wasn't temporary. This wasn't going to change. And no matter how many times I expressed my needs, they would always come second to her family's wants. That night, I packed some of my things and left. A few days later, I told her I wanted to separate. She broke down crying and said I was abandoning her, that I was overreacting, and that I should be more understanding. Her family immediately labeled me selfish and heartless for not stepping up and supporting them. I feel incredibly guilty because I know family is important. I never wanted to be the person who walks away. But at the same time, I feel like my needs, boundaries, and role as her husband were ignored for years. I'm torn between wondering if I should have stayed and tried one more time, or if leaving was the only way to finally protect myself. So, am I the asshole for leaving my partner because she refused to put our marriage before her relatives?